Hi everybody. So on homework number 50, which is the review for 12.4 to 12.5, I said that there would be some problems that I would do on the on a video. They aren't the actual homework problems, but they're ones that are similar. Just to give you an example of how these things are done. So they're all having to do with the volume of either a right prism, a right cylinder, or a cone, or a pyramid, all of those things that you studied up to this point. So number 5 in that first group, this is a prism. So as such, we should use the formula for volume of a prism, which is V equals BH. And we notice when we start looking for B that the base is a rectangle. And in this case, because it's a rectangular prism, okay, we have 3 choices for base, and you could choose this side, because remember, to be a base, a side has to have one that's opposite it, that's parallel, which would be this one, and the two need to be congruent, and obviously they are. Okay. Another choice for base could be this bottom one here, the bottom face there, and the top one. Okay, so the bottom could be your base, and then this top one is its opposite base that is congruent. So you could use this larger rectangle down here as your base if you wanted to. It's your choice. And finally, we have another choice, just full of options here, okay, that you could use this back rectangle as a base, or you could use this front one as a base, and that would be fine too, because these two sides are parallel to each other and they are congruent. So whatever one you want to use is fine. And you will come up with the same answer, most importantly. So I'm going to use this as a base, this shaded one as a base. So the base is a rectangle, okay, and we need to find the area of the base. So area of the base is equal to your length times width, because it is a rectangle. Okay, and I'll choose 7 as my length times 3. Okay, so that's going to be equal to 21. So when I have my V equals 21, that's my area of the base. Now what is going to be my height? Your height is always going to be 90 degrees to your base. So that would be this line right here. So, and that line is 9 inches, so it would be 21 times 9, and 9 times 21 is 189, and these are inches, and this is volumes. This would be inches cubed. Okay, so just to show you, okay, if I happen to use the bottom as a base, okay, the V would be equal to the area of the base, which would be 9 times 7, and then remember my height is perpendicular to the base, so that would be my 3 inches right here. And we have, again, 7 times 3 is 21, times 9 is going to be 189 inches squared. So just be clear when you start out, what is your base and what is the height? Remember, the height is always 90 degrees to the base. Okay, that's number 5. Okay, next I said I would do number 8. Okay, 8 is obviously, it's a cylinder. Okay, and so the formula for the volume of a cylinder, V equals pi r squared h. And why pi r squared? Because the base is a circle. Here's my circular base right here. So I need to find the area of that circle, and my formula for the area of a circle is pi r squared. Okay, so here I see that my radius is 5 inches. So I'll start filling in my formula here, pi times 5 squared. Okay, and remember my h is perpendicular to the base. Okay, so that would be my 12 inches. So it's going to be equal to pi times 25 times 12. Okay, and which is equal to 942 inches cubed. Okay, and someone asked me, it's a very good question, if I've got 92 here, okay, and they got 942.48, and I got 942 even. Is that a problem? Okay, when your answer differs in these two digits here to the right of the decimal point, there's nothing to worry about. The reason that happens is because for pi, we are using pi equals 3.14. Okay, now they are using probably more places. They're probably using pi equals 3.14159, okay? But we are shortening it to pi equals 3.14, and that's why you might see differences in those two digits to the right of the decimal point. Every once in a while, you might be off by 1 in this digit here. So that could be 941 or 943, and that would be okay too. Okay, so don't panic. You know, if you've got something that's pretty darn close, then you're good. If you have something wrong, it's going to be really wrong, and you're going to be able to figure that out right away. Okay, so let's go on to number 9. Okay, again, this is a cylinder. Oops. It's kind of like a pipe. Okay, it's a cylinder. So my volume is going to be equal to pi r squared h. Okay, and here is my r. My r is 2 centimeters, that little time right there. My base is a circle. Okay, so hence I'm using the pi r squared h, and my line that is vertical to the base is this 22 centimeters, so this is my h. So we plug those numbers into the equation, we get pi, my r is 2 squared, times 22 centimeters. So that's going to be equal to pi times 4 times 22, and that's going to be equal to 276.32. And here we're just off by these two little numbers here, and that's no problem. Okay, that's just a round off error. Okay, so that should get you going on volume pretty well. And let's go to the volume of two different figures. So number 3 is a pyramid. Okay, and its formula for the volume of a pyramid is V equals 1/3 BH. Now, when you have a pyramid, you can have any number of bases. Okay, you could have a square base, you could have a triangle base, you could have a hexagon base, okay, any number of bases. So you have to be really clear about what your base is. So the base is, you can think of it as the side that the shape sits on. Okay, it's a nice flat side. So that would be our base right there, and our base is a triangle. Okay, so you need to do this analysis first before you start, because otherwise you're not going to use the right formula for that base. So the base, the area of the base is going to be equal to 1/2 the base times the height. Now notice that we're told that this angle right here is a right angle. So I can redraw this green triangle. Okay, there's my right angle, and here's my side 4, and here's my side 4. So I'll plug that information into the equation, and I have 1/2 times 4 times 4. Okay, and 1/2 of 16 is equal to 8. So my B is equal to 8. Now, what's my height? So V equals my base, which is 8, and what's my height? Well, my height is going to be perpendicular to the base, okay, up to the tippy top, and that's labeled as 4 centimeters. Okay. Oops. 1/3 BH. Okay, so we have 1/3 times 32, okay, which is equal to, I got 10.68 because I rounded. Okay, and again, that's very similar to the answer that was given, and so that's completely correct. Okay, so last but not least, what do we have here? Just change colors just to make it interesting. So here we have a cone. So we're going to be using the formula for the volume of a cone, which is equal to 1/3 pi r squared h. Okay, and the reason that's pi r squared is because our base is a circle. Okay, base is circle, and it always will be for a cone. You can't have a square base on a cone. Okay, so 1/3 pi r squared h, b equals 1/3. Okay, pi is pi. Here's my r. R equals 5 centimeters, so 5 squared is 25. Now, here comes the tricky part. So this says that this line is 8 centimeters. Now, is that the height? No, it's not. This is the slant height. Remember from when we were doing surface area? This is the slant height. It's not the height. And when we're working with volume, okay, we need height, not slant height. Okay, slant height, bad, don't need it. So the height that we need is this right here. Okay, so hopefully you can see where we're going here. So if that radius is 5 centimeters, okay, we can draw another radius this way, and it is also going to be 5 centimeters. So look at what we have. We have a triangle, and because the height is perpendicular to the base, we know that that's a right angle, and good old Pythagoras, we can call on him again. So we need to know this side. We know that the hypotenuse, this long side, is 8, and that's our C. So Pythagorean theorem, a squared plus b squared equals c squared. Okay, let's use a equal 5. we're going to look for b, and of course the hypotenuses are c. So a squared would be 5 squared plus b squared equals 8 squared. Okay, so that's 25 plus b squared is equal to 64. So we subtract 25 from both sides. We're going to have b squared is equal to 39. Now, don't forget this part. And I'm going to change colors here just to emphasize. Okay, so this is b squared. We need b. So what do? We take the square root of both sides, so that b squared, the square root of b squared becomes b. And the square root of 39, you can plug it into your calculator. So approximately 6.24. Okay, don't forget that last step. Some of you had some issues in the last quiz that you didn't do that last step. Okay, so now our height is 6.24, and we can figure out our volume is equal to 1/3. Okay, the base is a circle, and it's equal to pi 25, and our h up here, times h, which we now know is 6.24. So you calculate all that out, and you get, I got 163.28. And again, I'm only off by these two numbers here, so that's totally okay. That's a rounding area with pi. And so there's our answers, 163.28 centimeters cubed. Okay, so this is all that I'm going to do on these. Hopefully you can figure out the other problems. And if you do have questions, please feel free to ask.